see what Chris thinks. Good morning, Chris.
G'day, boys. I've just got two quick points about, I think you're being a bit simplistic about the idea of the positives of Kurt Tippett going into the pre-season draft. One is about our premiership chances for next year. I think there's really only three outcomes that can come out of this. Either a trade that's good for the Swans and good for the Crows, or a trade in which the Crows go backwards but we don't send a top five player to a side that we're going to compete against in a flag next year. Or the third version, that it sounds like you guys are arguing, we get someone who is not going to be a first 22 player next year or potentially any year, and we're giving a top five player to a side that we're potentially going to play off against, or at least be competing against, for a flag next year. And I think that's really naive. And Michelangelo would know what happened to Port Adelaide the year after Nick Stevens went into the pre-season draft.
But there's one major difference, Chris.
Yep.
Is Port Adelaide clearly benefited by Nick Stevens not going to Collingwood because it was a direct competitor for the 2004 premiership.
That's exactly right.
But the difference was, and difference remains, is that Kurt Tippett will get to Sydney. Nick Stevens couldn't get to Collingwood.
But they called it a draft, Michelangelo, because that's not what happens. Do you really believe?
No. What
Raider,
the biggest
Western
problem?
Sydney, Carlton, there's a whole number of places.
Once Kurt Tippett fills out Form B, puts $1 million on it, GWS will go, see you, Kurt.
Nah, I think you're being naive. They've still got Bolton on the cap. They've still got Jesse White. They know they can't afford it next year.
No, we know that.
Swans do.
We know the Swans have got that capacity.
We know the Swans can spend $750 to $800 next year.
And GWS can't.
Oh, GWS can. I think that's good. Otherwise, why did Sauce come out in the media and say that? I think...
No, let's get it right. Sauce came out because GWS was getting smashed for stockpiling draft picks when they were supposed to be picking up season players. It was one of the great deflection quotes of all time. We're happy to trade on those draft picks, and he hasn't traded them anywhere.
And you think Freo couldn't make space for next year? You think Melbourne couldn't? You think you don't put someone like Tippett on the market, a top five player for an opposition, and you think everyone's just going to turn a blind eye and let him go to the Premier?
Well, every club that's involved in the AFL is saying quite clearly they don't have the capacity to take Kurt Tippett in once he nominates that price.
I haven't heard Carlton say anything for a while, not since Nick Mortel said that.
No, well, we asked Sauce at trade, first day of trade. We asked, who was it? Andrew Mackay, who's their football manager, asked him quite pointedly about that because you'd heard Mick Malthouse say if Tippett's interested, we'll look at him. And Andrew made it very clear, Kurt Tippett's not on our radar because he can't do it.
Okay,